He left on our 15th anniversary with a stranger's name on his lips and a second phone buzzing in his pocket. I thought that was the end of my story until the quiet paramedic at the boxing gym started teaching me how to breathe again. But the nights don't stay quiet. A stalker's texts, a marriage that refuses to die on paper, a man who promises truth but hides a past that keeps knocking at my door. Every punch I throw is another question. Who can I trust when the past wears a dozen faces? Before dawn, someone will be on the other side of my door, maybe the man I'm falling for, maybe the ghost of the life I left behind. Stay with me as the city wakes, and every heartbeat decides whether this is love, revenge, or the next betrayal. I was 40, one the night the floor gave way under my life. The apartment still smelled like rosemary chicken and that cedar candle my husband loved, but the plates had cooled and the champagne sweated in its bucket like even the bottle couldn't stand the room. Our 15th anniversary. Miles had promised he wouldn't be late. The new client was high. Maintenance had joked. 10:30, 11, midnight minus 3, my phone kept waking, reminders insisting there was something to celebrate. I didn't get up when his key turned. My palms stayed on the table, as if I were steadying a frightened boat. "Hey," he said, soft. His coat was open, shirt untucked in that curated way, but the collar was wrong-creased hard, the way fingers leave a memory. He moved to kiss me, then chose not to. The air changed temperature without moving. "You're late," I said. "You waited up." He glanced at the table napkins I'd ironed, the cacophon at me. "I'm sorry, you're not hungry." I sounded like a host checking on a stranger. He pulled out a chair, then let it scrape back. "We need to talk. Every story I love has a cheap hinge like that." I nodded. He looked toward the window, as if the words were pasted on glass. "I've met someone." My face didn't move. Inside, something unzipped and kept going. "How long?" "A year." He flinched. "It wasn't supposed to." He stopped. "His name is Aaron." I stood because my legs needed proof. I blew out the candle. "I made dinner," I said. "I ironed napkins, I know." He rubbed the bridge of his nose. "I didn't want to do this tonight, but you did." My fingers tingled, electric and empty. "Say the rest. I'm leaving. I have a sublet. I'll come for my things on Sunday. I'll send rent until the lease ends." He swallowed. "You don't deserve this." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because the sentence tried to make me a noble witness to my own exit. Where did I fail? The question leapt out. What did I miss? You didn't. His eyes were bright with the effort of holding a story steady. "It just happened. Nothing just happens for a year." I twisted the wire on the champagne. The corkside foam slid over my knuckles. "To us tonight," he didn't answer. His silence had a shape that wasn't mine. I poured 2 glasses because habit is a religion. I pushed one toward him. He didn't touch it. My hand shook. "What do I do with 15 years?" I asked. "Do I donate them? Put them in storage?" "I'm sorry," he said again, as if apology were a key fob blinking at the wrong car. "Do you love him?" He didn't hesitate. "I think so." I set my glass down and missed the coaster by an inch. The ring spread into the wood. "You should go," I said. "If this is the night, let it be the night." He lifted his coat. He looked at me the way you look at a house after you've moved out, still yours in ways paperwork can't reach. "I'll call tomorrow." "Don't," I said. The door clicked. The kitchen received the new quiet. The fridge hummed. I waited for anger like cavalry. Instead, there was the ache of a muscle that remembers it's been clenched for years. I carried both glasses to the sink. The champagne hissed against steel. On the counter, a second fawn-silver, slimmer than his regular one, blinked with a message head forgotten to silence. I shouldn't have, but I did. I woke it. The text glowed. "Room 914, same as last week. I miss your hands." My breath stuttered. I put the phone down like a hot pan and wiped my palm on my shirt. In the black window, I looked like a man whose life had been moved 1 inch to the left of everything still there, just wrong. I didn't cry. I took out the trash. I washed the plates. I folded the napkins into squares and stacked them like bandages. Then I sat on the bedroom floor, back to the bed, and watched the numbers change. Somewhere between minutes, the shock hardened into a fact. The night didn't end, it kept being itself, and I kept breathing in it, learning how morning arrived late in my body. I moved through the apartment like a guest had overstayed, careful, avoiding photos. I packed a box with his vitamins, a scarf, the Yes Chef mug. I told myself it was cleaning, not clearing a life. work emails stacked up. I stared until the font looked indecent. I showered hot enough to blur labels, put on the uniform of my old certainty, navy shirt, gray jacket, polite boots. I needed a place where the noise didn't know my name. The old boxing gym still smelled like tape and eucalyptus. My membership hadn't lapsed. Hope is stubborn. I wrapped my hands and took a bag in the corner. I hit until my lungs wrote letters on my ribs. Each punch stamped the word I couldn't say last night. Why, how again? When my wrists sang, I lined the gloves on the floor to breathe. That's when I saw him. He worked the next bag taller than me by a shoulder, salt at his temples, no headphones. He kept rhythm the way you keep a promise. When he paused, he caught me looking and raised 2 fingers. "You're new," he said, which was funny because I wasn't. "Old," I said, "just rusty." He smiled at the floor. Rust is honest, Nate, even. Saying my name made it sound available. We traded the bag like neighbors sharing a ladder. The room was breath and leather. He slipped my guard with a playful tap. "You drop your left when you're tired. Always tired, then well-practiced tired." He showed a small correction, hand hovering near my elbow but not touching. "Keep this line. Don't give the bag your secrets. Too late," I said, and he heard the extra meaning. He didn't ask. Between rounds he filled 2 paper cups and brought one to me. First time back, first day after, the truth came out dressed, not naked. He nodded. Boxers rarely need nouns. "It was my husband," I said. "He left. A year of leaving, made official last night." Nate's jaw worked, then went still. "You standing is the headline today," I said. "Well, see about tomorrow. Tomorrow will be jealous of you." It didn't sound cheap. "We did mitts?" He called numberson too, slip like a metronome for anger. When I messed up, he reset without theatrics. When I got it right, he let the proof belong to me. Afterward, in the lobby, I fought the urge to check my phone for apologies that were never coming. Nate held the door with his wrist. "Coffee?" he asked, as if offering oxygen. "Is there a rule against saying yes too fast? There's a rule against saying no when you need yes." We took seats facing the street because forward felt better than back. He ordered drip black. I ordered whatever tasted least like celebration. "There's a ring on your hand," he said. "Observation, not hunt. It hasn't learned the news. Let it take its time." He took in my jacket, my careful posture. "You look like a man picking the lock from the inside." I look like a man who still sets 2 plates. He didn't fill the silence with rescue. "What do you do?" I asked. "Paramedic. Long nights, short answers. You, copywriter. Long answers nobody reads." He laughed once, low. We both fix breathing in different ways. "You'll hate the afternoons," Nate said. "They last all week. That's when you text me to come hit the bag. You're assuming I have your number." He slid a receipt toward me with digits in neat blocks. "Now you do. No promises, no pep talks. Just sweat and a cup after." I touched the paper but didn't pick it up. My hand shook again. He pretended not to notice and changed the subject by noticing something else. "Your boots untied," he said. I looked. It wasn't. We both smiled at the kindness of a lie. The afternoon light felt merciful for once. When we left, he didn't hug me or ask if I was okay. He looked at me like a man studying a bridge and deciding it would hold. At the corner we split, and I walked home with the receipt in my pocket, the numbers pressing a small square hope against my leg. I spent the next day pretending the apartment was a museum exhibit about 2 men who used to live here. I moved carefully. I labeled boxes I didn't plan to seal. When the doorbell rang, I flinched so hard I laughed at myself. It wasn't Miles. A delivery guy held out a small envelope with my name in Nate's blocky handwriting. Inside, a single wrap of hand tape and a note for afternoons that last all week. No signature, no demand. I texted "thank you." He replied with a photo of his watch at 14. 3 and the words, "Come steal time." I went. The gym felt different when you know one person in a room full of strangers. He caught my eye between rounds and didn't wave, he just made space. We worked combinations until the names of the punches turned into breath. When he cued a break, we walked to the alley and leaned against the warm brick-like men, pressing our backs to a fact. "You hungry?" he asked. "I've been eating feelings," I said. "They are gluten-free, but the aftertaste is terrible." He grinned. "There's a taco truck that forgives anything. 2 blocks. We ate standing up, paper plates across our palms. Salsa made my lips sting in a way that felt like proof. He asked simple questions with heavy doors behind them, sleep, work, the ring. I told the truth in small servings. He kept up, never pushing, never shrinking back. I keep wanting to make a speech, I said, about loyalty, about promises. Then I remember I don't believe myself yet. Then don't make the speech, he said. Breathe, you'll talk when your lungs are done panicking. A siren rose and fell nearby. He glanced, a reflex. I pictured him at 3 a.m., kneeling in broken light, a stranger's pulse counting out the odds. The image lodged somewhere I hadn't dusted in years. Stop narrating me, he said, amused. Sorry, occupational hazard. You sit on the bag, he said. Well, write something with your hands. Back inside, he held the mitts low and close. In fighting, he said, small space, no room to lie. I stepped inside his reach because he told me to. Sweat cooled on his temple, a salt map under the halogen. We moved together in inches, hook, body, breath. Once my shoulder brushed his chest. It wasn't an accident, even if we let it pretend. After, the showers hissed like rain behind a wall. He handed me a clean towel head pulled from his bag. Emergency stash, he said. You carry towels, I carry exits. We didn't go home. We walked. The city had that thin, gold hour that forgives faces. I didn't tell him about the second phone or the message that had burned my palm. He didn't tell me who taught him to carry exits. We traded stories that weren't the worst things we knew. At a crosswalk, he said, if you keep touching your ring, it'll bruise you. I'm trying to convince my finger it's not a promise anymore. It was a promise, he said. It still is. It just changed its job. A light changed. We didn't. It got cold in the short way evenings do when you aren't ready. He offered his hoodie. I said no, then yes. The fabric held his day. Eucalyptus rub, coffee, something metallic like coin. The hood warmed the back of my neck. The world tilted half a degree toward bearable. On my block, I stopped. I'm not ready for company. I didn't follow you home, he said, gentle. I walked beside you. That's different. Still, I said. He nodded. Okay. Silence had started to feel less like a threat around him. I turned to go, then turned back. Do you ever, after a call, after everything, do you need someone to tell you that you're still here? Sometimes, he said. I stepped in without planning to. My chest met his and didn't apologize. We didn't kiss. I felt his breath near my ear, warm and steady, and my body answered like it, recognized a password. His hand lifted and stopped on my ribs, more permission than touch. We stood like that long enough to memorize it, then longer. Okay, he said quietly, as if approving a stable heartbeat. Okay, I said, and meant a dozen different things. He pulled back first, the way a good medic pulls gauze before it sticks. He touched the edge of the hoodie. Keep it, he said, until the afternoons shorten. When I finally let myself into the museum, I didn't switch on every light. I set the hoodie over the chair like a note in a margin. My phone vibrated. Miles, a pair of texts stacked like dice. Are you there? And we should talk. I stared at the screen until the letters looked mechanical. Then I placed the phone face down and sat on the floor again, back to the bed, smelling eucalyptus and coin, and let the silence be a room we had filled together without ever crossing the line we both could see. I texted Nate, "I'm still here." The dots appeared, then rested. His reply felt like a steady palm. Same, drink water, lock the door, count 30 breaths if night gets loud. I did as told, and sleep at last found the edge of my bed. Rain hammered the windows like someone else's argument. I woke to the buzz of a message before dawn. Miles again, need to talk, urgent. I left the phone face down. I learned that urgency is just guilt wearing cologne. By noon I was back at the gym. Nate was already there, taping his wrists with the quiet focus of someone dressing a wound. You look wired, he said. Didn't sleep. Then hit until you can. We worked the heavy bag until sweat blurred everything into a single heartbeat. Between rounds I told him about the texts. He wants to meet, I said. He says he made a mistake. Nate kept wrapping the tape tighter. What do you want? I don't know. Then don't answer until you do. It sounded simple. It wasn't. After training we sat on the back steps, the smell of rain mixing with rubber mats. I felt steadier near him, but a new weight pressed the air. Even, he said finally, I should tell you something before this goes any further. The street hissed with passing cars. I'm married, he said. The word cracked through me sharper than any punch. You're what? He didn't flinch. Separated. Paperwork slow. We haven't shared a home in months. But it's still there on paper. You wear no ring. I stopped when I started sleeping at the station more than the house. I stood, needing vertical distance. Why now? Because you deserve the truth before we keep walking wherever this is heading. My voice came out thin. I just climbed out of a lie. I want be somebody else's secret. You're not a secret, he said, looking up at me from the step below. I'm trying to end a life clean before I start another. The rain started again, harder. He didn't move. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to leave. Both wants pulled until my chest ached. You should have told me the first day. I know. His shoulders stayed square. I wanted 1 hour where it didn't matter. The honesty in that nearly undid me, but the echo of miles. I didn't want to ruin tonight. Cut deeper. I can't be a rehearsal, I said. He stood now, close enough that the wet air carried his heat. You aren't. Prove it. I will, but not by rushing a divorce or dragging you through paperwork. By showing up every day, nothing hidden. Lightning flared behind him like a camera flash. For a moment we were two silhouettes deciding if the next step was worth the fall. I turned toward the street. I need space. I'll give it, he said, but it'll be harrowing or no ring when you're ready to throw again. I walked home in the rain, his words sticking like the hoodie still hanging on my chair. Miles called twice more. I let the phone ring until it drowned in voicemail. Inside, the apartment smelled of damp cotton and endings. I locked the door, but the world felt suddenly wide open and not entirely safe. I lasted 2 days without the gym, which is to say I didn't. Afternoons stretched like wire. On the third day I polished the kitchen, took down wedding photos, then put them back because the blank space made me dizzy. At 5, the buzzer. I expected a courier. It was Miles, rain on his lashes, a paper bag clinking like an apology. I shouldn't have come, he said, stepping in like the apartment still knew his shape. I ended it. Sunday, I moved out. I told my mother, 15 years isn't a paper cup. Don't touch anything. I said. He noticed the hoodie on the chair and went still. You have company. I have a life. Before he could answer, the buzzer again 3 short bursts. I went to the intercom. Even, it's Nate, came the voice. Don't open to anyone else. The camera showed a slice of chaos. 2 men at the vestibule, one hooded, one eye recognized by the set of his shoulders. Metal scraped downstairs. Someone propped the door. Call 911, Nate said, flat and professional. As I gave the operator our address, a fist hit the glass below. Miles hovered near the door despite my raised palm. A second voice rose up the stairwell, raw, rehearsed. Come out, hero. You think you can take what's mine. Miles' eyes cut toward me. What did you get into? Breathe, I said, unsure which of us I meant. Footsteps climbed. I slid the chain. Nate's voice at the wood. It's under control. Don't open. A new voice, close enough to fog the peephole. Open up, Even. Let's meet. Miles stiffened. He knows you. The hooded face leaned in jaw-tight. Smile without humor. Hi, I'm Aaron. The name hit like an old bruise. Miles swore under his breath. You brought him here. From the edge of the peephole, Nate stepped into view steady, damp, breathing hard. Aaron, walk away. You don't get to tell me anything, Aaron said, palm flat on my door. The chain jumped. He's mine. I'm not, I said, surprised by my own voice. Sirens threaded the block. Aaron's expression flickered panic. Calculation then he stepped back with his hands raised for the camera. Just talking, he called. Shoes on metal, he vanished down the stairs as the lights turned the walls blue. I opened the door. Nate scanned me with that medic's inventory, hand hovering but not touching. You okay? I think so. Miles was looking at Nate like a man measuring a rival's shadow. Who is he to you? Someone I treated, Nate said. He latched on. I filed a report. I thought I'd lost him, but he followed me here. The explanation landed messy. I looked at Nate. Are you safe? Safer if I'm not in your doorway when the police arrive. 2 officers came. Statements in calm voices. A neighbor's door cracked. When the forms were signed and the stairwell emptied, I turned to Miles. Go, I said. Whatever this is, it isn't ours anymore. He searched my face for any door left unlocked. Finding none, he left with the wrong kind of dignity. I watched the era click shut behind him. Nate lingered on the threshold. I'm sorry, he said. You didn't bring the storm. It just knew your route. He nodded at the hoodie. Keep it another week. He stepped back. If you need me, text one word. Come. He left. The apartment held its breath. My phone lit. An unknown number. He's lying to you. Who is this? I typed. Ask him where he sleeps on the nights he doesn't answer. Another. Ask him who still has a key. I stared until the letters lost meaning. A photo followed, a brass doorknob I recognize, Nate's, by the paint. A key in it, caption, whose my mouth went dry. I texted Nate, on shift, cleared, he replied. You okay? Hungry, I lied. Diner on 8th, he was already in a booth, shoulders curved. We held mugs. I told him about the texts, not the photo. He listened, jaw tight. I turn my phone off when I crash at the station, he said. 2 nights a week. The rest in a sublet. No one has a key there. No one has a key to me. I wanted to believe. Do you want me to stop coming around? He asked. No, I said. I want this to be real. It is, he said, setting his palm open on the table. I set mine near it. Outside, the sky hesitated. At my corner, he said, text when you're in. I will. I almost asked about the doorknob. Instead, I watched him go, that steady gait I could already pick out from a block. Inside, I locked the chain twice. The unknown number lit again. Diner coffee, it wrote, cute. What do you want? I typed to save you time, came back. Ask him about Emily. The name sat like a cold coin. I searched my memory and found nothing. I didn't text Nate. I put the phone face down and listened to the apartment creak. I counted 30 breaths the way Head taught me. On 31, I could hear my heart in the hinges. The chain held. The night did, too, but the questions had learned the code. Sleep came late, thin, and brittle. Morning didn't begin so much as restart. I woke with the name Emily stuck to my tongue. I typed to the unknown number, who is Emily. The reply came fast, ask your medic. Then a photo, Nate at a bus stop beside a woman wearing a ring. Caption, still separated. I put on his hoodie and walked to the gym. The bag gave a dull thunder. When Nate arrived, he read my weather in a glance. What happened, Emily, I said. He nodded toward the office. A fan moved warm air. Emily is my wife, he said. Soon to. BX. Yesterday we signed the final agreement. We rode the bus from the courthouse. That's what you saw. Who has a key to your place? I showed the doorknob photo. My old apartment. I left a spare with her. I should've told you. You promised nothing hidden, I said. I built my morning on that. I meant it. But the clean version of the truth moves slower than my life. I wanted to forgive him and be done. Instead, heat rose. A stranger is narrating us better than you are. Nate slid his phone across the desk. Call her, ask anything. I'll step out. He closed the door from the hall. The gesture stopped me. I didn't call. Stay, I said when I opened it. He returned. I'm picking you, he said. Over being misunderstood. Over being careful. Then say the whole thing before the rumor does. I'm separated. No other relationship. I sleep at the station some nights and at a sublet most. Last week the shower died, so I crashed on my sister's sofa and once at Emily's couch, the door locked. No romance. I didn't tell you because I was afraid the word would do what I don't want, lose you, so you decided for me. Yes, I'm sorry. Before I could decide whether that was enough, the gym's front door slammed. A shout tore through the bags. Nate moved first, palm on my shoulder guiding me low. Through the office window I saw Aaron stride in, hood down, a bruise at his cheek like old ink. Empty hands, loaded voice. If Vin, he barked, he lies to you. Nate stepped out. I followed. The room smelled like rope and breath. Aaron, Nate said, open hands. You can't be here. You didn't answer, Aaron said. Then I see you with him after everything I told you. You said I mattered. I said your life matters. Nate replied, it does. That doesn't mean we have one. Aaron's eyes found me. Ask him where he was the night you poured champagne into the sink. I heard my pulse. Where were you? I asked Nate. He held my gaze. On a call, a kid odd in a stairwell. I rode in, stayed until the hospital took him, sat in the ambulance and counted breaths so I wouldn't call my wife and pretend we weren't ending. Then I slept 2 hours alone. Liar, Aaron said. Check the run sheet, Nate said. Squad 4, shift. The owner lifted a phone. Out or I call this in. Aaron's face folded into something like apology and fury. You saved me, he told Nate. Don't walk away to me. Don't be another patient. Then he left, door banging. Sound returned in a rush. Nate stood very still, as if waiting for a verdict. I walked until our breaths braided. My hand rose and paused on his jaw, a test of temperature. I don't know how to do this without getting hurt, I said. You can't, he said, but you can decide what the hurt is for. My marriage taught me to absorb. I want earn that diploma again. Then don't absorb, he said. Ask, argue, demand. The panic heat tilted toward a steadier fire. I set my forehead to his like men too old to pretend they aren't shaking. His hand found my ribs and held there. "Tell me everything ugly," I said. "I already did," he said. "You'll keep telling it until you believe me." The owner cleared his throat. We stepped apart without shame. The storm didn't pass it reorganized around a center that held. On the sidewalk he paused under the awning. "Rain stitched the street. We should file another report," he said, "not because fear wins, but because patterns matter." We walked 2 blocks to the precinct and spoke into tidy forms. I watched the officer type Aaron's name and felt relief of letters standing between us and chaos. Outside again, Nate handed me the pen ID worried. "Ground rules," he asked. 3, I said. "No vanishing, no half, truth shaped like protection. If I ask a hard question, we answer before the coffee cools." He nodded once. "And you, I text when the afternoons start to stretch. I don't punish you for someone else's theft." "Deal," he said, and for the first time all week, the word didn't sound like paperwork. It sounded like breath I could keep. We stood there a moment longer, letting plans settle in our bones like warmth after cold. Tonight, I didn't go home after the precinct. We circled the block once, then split at the corner. "Text me when you're in," Nate said. I nodded like that was ordinary. At my door I paused, ear to wood, counting 30 breaths. The apartment met me with the hush after rain. I hung his hoodie on the chair and watched it hold the shape of a man I wasn't ready to lose. The unknown number hadn't pinged. I missed the noise for a minute. That scared me. I made tea I didn't drink. I set the ring on the table and found the dent it had pressed into my finger, pale as a secret. I wanted to call my mother, but she loved Miles. I wanted to call no one, so I called the room instead. "I'm still here," I said. I texted Nate, "In." He replied with a dot, then, "Good. Sleep where the windows can see you." I lay on the sofa, face to the city, and let the night catalog me, ankles, ribs, the place his hand had learned. After the pipes sighed, sleep took me by the shoulders. I woke to knocking, not the buzzer knuckles, patient. The peephole gave me my own fisheye. The knocking came again, 2 beats, then a pause. "Who is it?" My voice was a dry page. Silence. I held the chain and felt the tremor that wastened the door. A text from the unknown number. "You're safest when you don't answer." Another. "He's on his way." I typed "Nate, where are you?" then erased it. I pressed my ear to wood. Breath on the other side, or mine thrown back at me. The chain suddenly sounded like jewelry. I stepped away. The knocking stopped. Footsteps went down, or I invented them. My phone buzzed again. A photo of the boxing ring, empty, lights off, ropes slack. Caption, "Every arena is a door." I dressed without turning on a light, pocketed the old ring, the new keys, the small courage that fits in a jacket. Outside, the street held its wet shine. I walked toward the gym because movement felt like choosing. The gym gate was down. I stood there anyway, hands in pockets, until a shadow joined mine. Not close enough to touch, close enough to be counted. "It's me," Nate said softly. "Couldn't sleep, me neither." We faced the shutter like a curtain waiting on a cue. "What do we do?" I asked, "when the past keeps ringing and the future knocks with no name?" He didn't pretend to know. "We stand by the door we can't hold," he said. He opened his palm. I placed the ring in it. He closed his fist, then opened it again. The ring lay there like a coin that had bought us time. "Keep it," I said, "not as proof, as a reminder of what? That love leaves impressions, that I'm still learning where I end and begin." A police car drifted past. Somewhere, someone's story broke or healed by an inch. We stayed until our breath matched the slow pulse of the city. Dawn touched the edges. "Coffee?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, though I meant stay. We started walking, 2 men who had not solved anything, who had refused to lie. Behind us, a door I hadn't opened waited. Ahead, another brightened enough to feel.